Hi there. I'm Randy Roberts. I am an executive and career life coach, and I use my 30-year corporate experience to help my clients figure out what's next in their career and love their work while they're achieving their goals. So that's what lights me up these days, and I'm really glad that you're here to listen in on our topic of the month. I know some of you listen here today live. A lot of you pick this up on LinkedIn or on my YouTube channel. So wherever you're joining me from, I'm really glad that you're here. So what we want to talk about today is how you set career goals differently as an executive than maybe you have before in your career. This may be something for those of you who are in executive roles. If you're already a VP or at the C-suite, you may already be on this, and then good for you, but it may give you some things to think about, and it's never too late to put them into action. And for those of you who are aspiring to those roles, this will give you some good thoughts both for now and for the future. So, what's different about setting career goals as an executive versus in other roles if you're at a manager level, director level, that kind of thing? I think the real difference here, and what I want to focus on a bit today, is that these are not business goals. These are not necessarily a career path within your company because you may already be where you want to be. This is really about you, and how do you continue that growth, that drive, that motivation that makes you who you are. The risk when you get to the level you want to be at is that some of that motivation goes away because you may not have that next goal. So you need to be aware of that. If you're someone who needs that, you may want to set your goals differently. So I would say listen to this through that kind of a lens. It's about what you want to attain. It's about what you want to achieve. It's also about the mark that you want to leave, which it's never too early to start thinking about that, because the career you build and the leadership um, uh, footprints in the sand that you leave are consistent with the way you've always leaded. And so it's never too late to start thinking about those things. And depending on where you are in your career, the importance of that might be dialed up or down. So, what's important about setting career goals at the executive level? If you have reached a certain point in your company, well, let me step back. If you're with a big corporation, as I spent most of my corporate career, your company may have very well established processes for how you set your career goals and your career path. And that almost always is within that current company. Of course, that's why they invest in that process, is for their own good. What's different when you get to that level is within your company, the focus isn't on you anymore. The focus is you implementing that program for your team. So who's focused on you? You're not ever done growing and learning. So you may have to take control of this for yourself. Um, and it's important leadership by example for your team that you're continuing to grow, learn, strive. I mean, using my personal example, when I was in the corporate world all those years, I worked for companies that had they invested a lot in corporate development and career development, personal development. I benefited from that so much. But now, the last 7 years or so, I'm in the entrepreneurial world. I run my own business. I don't have anybody asking me if I have a business plan, let alone a career plan. So if I want it, if I need it, it's just for me. And I do both of those things because for so many years, like you, I had that business focus. I was, in the business world so long, run my own business now, have an MBA. It's how my mind works and it's motivating for me. So I do a business plan for my business every year. I also do a career development plan, even though my current intention is to keep doing what I'm doing. So if that's motivating for you, take control of it. It doesn't matter if anybody else ever sees it. Okay, so how does your approach differ for yourself as an executive than necessarily the one that you take for your team? This really doesn't have a lot to do with business goals. When you're working with your team, their business goals and objectives will definitely be based baked into their plan for the year. But really what this is for you, it might be a focus on staying relevant. When you reach that level, there's a risk that you plateau, but you need to stay connected to what's going on out there. What is the state of the art and the best practices within your industry or even beyond to bring ideas back? So you got to stay relevant. You really have to have a plan for adapting and evolving within that business landscape. You also want to have a, be take do some care and feeding of your own personal growth and leadership development. You're never done there. So putting some time and attention there can really pay big dividends. And also you want to start to think concretely about what you want to do long term. What's the impact that you want to leave on the business, on the people that you lead? I mean, the people that I've impacted, that circle is far and wide now because the people that I led in certain companies are scattered like the wind, which is really exciting because then that impact that you leave kind of has ripples and impacts a lot of different areas. Trust me, beyond what you ever see. Occasionally, I'll get a call from somebody that I may have not have talked to in 5 or 10 years that talks to me about something that I said or did that impacted them. It's pretty cool to know that. What are some of the key points in setting those career goals as an executive? You want to focus on your leadership legacy. Meaning, how do you shift from really task oriented goals to creating the lasting impact within your organization? Definitely. And consider how you're going to mentor and develop future leaders. I mean, that stuff's fun for most people. It's not fun for everybody, but for most of us, it is really fun. And definitely, I'm oriented that way. That's now my business, is helping other people develop. So if that's not your thing, don't worry about it. But it is, if it is your thing, you can set it as one of your goals. It's also a good idea to set measurable and adaptive goals. Look, this is different than business goals or what you want to do to attain the next step in your career. That might be what you want to accomplish in the next year, how that breaks down quarterly. But look, you are good at setting goals and following them and tracking them. And so why not use that skill here too? Set some measurable KPIs and track your progress, but remain flexible to adjust in any way based on, a response to market or organizational changes or just how you feel. This is about you. So if something's lighting you up, follow it. If something's just not got, it doesn't have your interest, let it go. You get to set the rules here. And it's helpful, as in business, for your own personal development at this point to be clear about your short term wins and your long term aspirations. So you can track it, so you can celebrate it, so you can make the corrections that may be appropriate for you. Another aspect of this is investing in continuous learning and self development. Just because you're at the level that you want to be doesn't mean you don't keep learning. And that may be something that's really motivating to you. So you may want to identify and commit to learning new skills, especially in areas that are emerging or becoming more and more important in your business. I mean, it might be AI, it might be some other technological aspect of things. How can you learn it a little bit differently? It's all about innovation and leading and staying current so that you can contribute to the level that you always have and that you really want to. And don't forget to leverage your executive influences, if it's coaching, if it's mentoring from other people, as well as setting up some peer networks for you so that you can continue that personal growth and professional growth and keep those connections. You may be more in a situation of helping others at this point, leaning towards giving back. That's pretty cool. But you'd be surprised what there still is for you to learn. Even if you're in the job you want to be in, you can always be better at it. You can always deepen your impact further. So stay connected. Part of that is cultivating a broad network that is within your own company. It's without, outside of your own company, but make sure that you're maintaining that, diverse group of relationships across your industry and outside your industry. You'd be surprised how often the ideas come from surprising places. So collaborate with peers, mentors, thought leaders to really enhance your influence and knowledge base and just keep things fresh for yourself. Another interesting thing about putting together career goals as an executive is it is a great time to reevaluate your personal level of risk tolerance because taking risks is risky, can't be guaranteed it's going to work. But from both a business perspective and your own career goals, you're never going to know until you try. And you may be at a place where you have a lot more tolerance for risk than you did earlier in your career. So check it. See what you think about that. It might be really exciting for you. Might not have changed, but I have come to reflect on the fact I'm working with different clients. I always thought about you can take big risks early in your career, you got less to lose. Then you go later in your career, it's harder to take risks. What I've learned is you go through a phase in your life in your career where you're building, where you're building your assets, your income, your nest egg, your family may be at a certain point. Once you get to a certain point, you can take risks again. So don't lose sight of that. That may be something that's fun and motivating for you to take a look at. Another thing that's different that's really, important to think about is how you plan for succession within your company. Like, it's your long-term leadership development, and this may be part of your objectives within your company, but it also may just be something that you have a passion for that you wanna do, is to make sure that there are people ready to take up the mantle that you've been driving. It may be really exciting and rewarding for you to help develop them, but it's definitely good for your company because the leadership impact should be bigger than any one individual. If things aren't set to continue after you, which can feel a little threatening sometimes, but if the structure isn't placed to continue, you may not be able to step out. You may not allow yourself to step out when you want to, when the time is right. And a final thought on setting executive career goals is think about how you want to give back through purposeful leadership. So identify ways you may want to contribute to your community or your industry beyond your role. This may not be thinking about, something that generates revenue for you or necessarily is right for your company. It may be speaking at industry events or who knows what the way that can show up, the way you can make that show up. But it's a way of giving back to your community and your industry. And then you also have the opportunity you've got a lot of influence at this point in your career. You can use that to advocate for some social responsibility or initiatives that align with your values and many times align with the values of your company. So you can kind of do it under that umbrella. But the newer folks coming up in the organization are looking for that. They're hungry for that. If you're somebody that lives and breathes that and talks about that, you will attract talent in a different way. It might be very exciting for you. I mean, in general, as executives, it's still important for you to take time to reflect, to mentor others, and even seek out mentors. Even when you get there, having that those safe places that you can vent, can toss ideas around that may or may not go anywhere, can really, have that support and that healthy challenge. Those things are still important to you. So as you're mentoring others, seek that out for yourself if you need to. Continuous learning is really important as you navigate every stage of your career path. And the thing that I would say is, again, it's never too late to start thinking about these things, to really begin setting or reassessing your career goals. Do it now and ensure alignment with the involving business environment and your personal aspirations. And in terms of leaving a legacy, leaving a mark. I always say leadership by example is one of the most important things that we can do. So if these things resonate for you, if these are important to you, talk to your team about how you're thinking about this and what you're doing. That's another way to have an impact and build that legacy. So, hopefully, some of this has been thought provoking for you and helpful. If so, I would love to hear it. If you don't agree, if you have things to add or challenge, I would love to hear that too. So, thanks for engaging and listening in and sharing the time with me. I appreciate it.